A few years ago, back when my boyfriend was sleeping on his friend's couch and my parents forbade him from spending the night at my house, we found a solution to steal precious moments together, a modest but seemingly nice hotel in town. At first, everything was perfect, a cozy haven for us to be ourselves, away from the world. Even when the hotel changed ownership and rebranded, the service appeared unchanged, so we kept going back. Little did we know, those walls held secrets that would haunt us. One ordinary morning, about 2 months after the ownership change, my boyfriend left early for work. I stayed behind, savoring a rare morning of solitude. Around 9:30 or 10 a.m., I was startled awake by the distinct click of a key card unlocking the door. The sound of the hallway suddenly flooded the room as the door swung wide open. My heart froze. From where I lay, I couldn't see the door, but I could feel the cold, invasive presence of someone standing there. "Hellos," I called out, my voice trembling. There was no response, just the faint, almost deliberate sound of the door closing. I bolted out of bed, slammed the latch into place, and peered through the peephole. The hallway was empty, eerily silent, as if the intruder had vanished into thin air. I told myself it must have been a cleaner making an honest mistake. But why hadn't they knocked? Why had they left so quickly without apologizing? Weeks later, we returned to the same hotel. After a blissful evening together, we fell asleep cuddling, the sound of the television quietly playing in the background. In the middle of the night, I woke to the sound of a key card sliding into the door. I froze, my mind racing. Then, the door clicked open, only to slam against the latch my boyfriend had secured earlier. This time, the fear was palpable. I shook my boyfriend awake, whispering, "Someone's trying to get in." He jumped out of bed and rushed to the door. Peering through the peephole, he saw a middle-aged man with a vacant, glassy stare. "You've got the wrong room," my boyfriend shouted, slamming the door shut. The man didn't respond. Instead, he just stood there for a moment before walking away, his steps slow and unsteady. Furious, my boyfriend dressed and went downstairs to complain. I stayed behind, locking the door and securing the latch even tighter. But the silence that followed felt heavy, oppressive. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. I crept to the bathroom, leaving the door ajar so I could listen for any noise. As I washed my hands, the door banged against the latch again. My stomach twisted into knots. My legs trembled as I tiptoed to the door and looked through the peephole. It was him, the same man, and this time his expression was different, his movements slower, more deliberate, as though he was savoring the moment. "Go away. Someone's in here," I screamed, shoving the door shut with all my strength. He didn't say a word. He just stood there, his face partially illuminated by the faint hallway light, before slowly turning and disappearing down the hall. When my boyfriend returned, I was shaking uncontrollably. The front desk had brushed it off as a mix-up, but now there was no denying it. This was no mistake. Someone had deliberately been given access to our room. We decided to confront the staff together. When we reached the lobby, I noticed the receptionist's forced smile falter as we described what had happened. She apologized profusely, but there was something off about her demeanor, like she knew more than she was letting on. That night, every creak and whisper of the building felt like a threat. My boyfriend stayed awake, sitting by the door, while I lay in bed with every muscle tense. The final time we stayed there, a similar incident occurred, a stranger entering our room with a key, though they retreated quickly this time. That was the breaking point. We stormed down to the front desk, furious. But as we demanded answers, something about the staff's nervous apologies made our skin crawl. Why weren't they more alarmed? How could this keep happening? We didn't return to that hotel until years later, after it had changed ownership again. Out of curiosity, we told the new staff about our experiences, hoping for reassurance. What they revealed chilled us to the bone. The previous owner had been evading taxes by not logging all guest check-ins into the hotel system. This meant that anyone could be handed a key to a room, whether it was occupied or not. Guests weren't just forgotten. They were invisible. While we thought those incidents were mistakes, they had been willful negligence. Worse, the new manager hinted at rumors that the previous owner had rented out occupied rooms to unsavory individuals for quick cash. We realized how lucky we had been. Those strangers with keys could have been thieves, or worse. The thought that our sense of safety had been so fragile and that we had unknowingly been part of something far darker still sends shivers down my spine. We never went back, and to this day, I double lock every door I sleep behind.